you aren't the problem in not receiving what you ask for? Welcome to Tools to Create a Better Life with myself, Glenyce Hughes. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so incredibly grateful for you. And yes, there's a little puppy here. I'm actually not pet sitting. I'm at my sister's house, and this is Floyd, and he wanted to be part of the video. If you're watching on video, if you're not, then he's just a sweet little puppy. He's just so cute. All right, so I have been listening to a podcast called Love and Light Confessionals. I highly recommend it for everyone, actually. I just highly recommend it. It really opens your eyes to some of the stuff that's going on in what we might call like the coaching industry, the woo industry, whatever you want to call it, and has been going on for a long time, of course. And she actually used a term that I'd never heard before in this context. And it got me really looking at all the spaces and places where what I've shared has done that, or it's just everywhere. And so it's about simplification and actually oversimplification. So when I talk about, maybe this is the reason you're not getting what you ask for, is looking at it from the place of, you've probably heard or seen or watched videos or whatever when they say, okay, just ask these 4 questions and everything you want will show up in your life. Now that's pretty, general, but you get the idea, right? And I know I've said it myself. I totally have. And it's said everywhere in all the places. So yeah. What if it's not? Like, what if that is so oversimplified that it's actually the problem? The oversimplification is the problem. And one of the things that I've actually been talking to and really incorporating in, the videos and classes and everything is, yes, ask for what you would like. Absolutely. And then there is action. So the oversimplification is when we say, just do these 4 things, ask these 4 questions, and it'll show up as if by magic. No. That is oversimplification, where we say, yes, ask these questions or ask the questions that light you up. And then also, what action is required? And I would say, and I'll use myself as an example, that's probably where I, especially years ago, and I know I've talked about this somewhat recently, really didn't want to have to take any action. I really just wanted it to be where I sit on the chair and ask the 4 questions and, things are delivered like Amazon. It just doesn't work that way. But that oversimplification, then what people do is they hear the ask the 4 questions and it'll show up, and then it doesn't happen, and then that person goes into so much wrongness of themselves. What am I doing wrong that I'm not getting what I ask for? I asked those 4 questions. That person asked those 4 questions. They got everything they asked for. Now, the other thing that we want to recognize is that there's probably, if that's what they said, I asked 4 questions and things were delivered like Amazon, there's probably some information missing in there. It also could be just a blatant lie. So it's really recognizing what is actually, again, true for you. I believe it was even last week or the week before that I talked about this, because it's kind of all been unraveling in my world in terms of all of the stuff that we're consuming, all the content, all the information we're consuming, and now I have a word for it, oversimplification. So then we go to that class, we buy that product, we take that course, we do that thing, and it's not all the pieces. Now, sometimes it is, absolutely. And one of the things that I would say I pride myself in with all of the stuff that I've created over the years, for the most part, I do what I can to make it simple. I make it into steps. I have handouts and PDFs and workbooks and guides and all sorts of things to really assist. And I don't mean that, I don't say that to be like, oh, I haven't done this. I totally know that I have. And so really recognizing that there might be more, and so you might want to take that program, but with your, what I call your eyes wide open. So if that person's saying you only need to do this is all I did, and I Amazon delivered it, cool. And maybe you need to add some things, or maybe there's some more questions for the person. Maybe if you go in with your eyes wide open, you'd start to recognize that. I could ask them if I have problems with this, how do they deal with that? Or what does this look like? Or recognize that each one of us is so different, and our gifts and capacities and all of that is different. And so for some people, yeah, maybe they did have that. They asked the 4 questions and it was delivered like Amazon. Cool. And maybe for us, there's something different. And one of the things that the gal, and I do not remember her name, I just know the podcast, again, Love and Light Confessionals, highly recommend it. One of the things she talks about that I've actually never really considered is how a lot of the people, say in the coaching industry, in the woo industry, that are the bigger names, a lot of them got in super early. So, a lot of people have tried to emulate what they did to create what they've created. And it's possible that a lot of it was actually timing. Yeah, so it's something to think about, something to be present with and aware with, especially if you're one of those people who haven't recognized, and I mean for myself, I recognized it a few years ago, but I didn't have a word for it. But if you as you're listening, if you go, oh wow, that makes so much sense, like look at where else maybe things have been oversimplified. And I don't mean people are doing it on purpose. I don't mean people are trying to scam you. Of course, there's that too. Yes, absolutely. There are people that do things on purpose, and there are people that try to scam you, of course. But I'm not saying that's always what's going on. We just want to recognize for ourselves, is this oversimplified? Are there other things? People will say, oh, take my class on how to create reels and your business will triple. Well, really, if you actually look at that, there's a lot of people that have tons of followers with, say, on Reels, with Instagram or Facebook or wherever, but there isn't money made in those. So the biggest money made on those sorts of things, of course, is partnerships, where you're talking about, maybe Nike gives you a partnership and they pay you to create a reel, those sorts of things. Now, I'm not saying that people don't have coaching businesses as a success because of what they do on Reels, or it's an invite, but it's not it. And yet the oversimplification is this person has, viral Reels every second day and their business is in the millions. So the answer is Reels. No. And I hated hearing it, but I'm going to say it. There is no one answer. There is no one answer. There is no one question. There is no one anything. There's no guarantee in anything we do. And so, it's no different than if you go to school to become, I don't know, an accountant. You're not guaranteed that you will, have a steady job and have steady income until you retire. Same with our businesses. There is no one thing you can do to guarantee you will have what you would like. There's action. Again, I'm going to use that word. There's action. There's asking. There's steps to take. There's things to choose. There's also the willingness to be honest with yourself. And I've talked about this a lot over, I would say, probably the past 6 months to a year, because business has changed. The way that business has changed. And there will be a lot of people that tell you it hasn't. And maybe theirs hasn't. I will not speak for them. And it has. People are buying differently now compared to a year ago, a couple of years ago, more years ago, where, for a lot of time that was like self-empowerment and healing and all of that, coaching, all of that was very sought after. It's different now. I don't mean it's not sought after. It's just different now. And so if you aren't willing to be honest with yourself with that, then you're not making the changes probably in the business that are required. And that's where we can really get into problems, because we ignore it. We probably oversimplify in that too, as I'm talking about this. Oversimplify, oh, it was just a slow month. Oh, it was just that. It was just this. It's like, actually, be honest with you. Look at the numbers each month. If you're in business, look at your numbers each month. And are they going the direction you would like them? And if not, There might be some questions to ask and action to take. Yeah, there might be some things to choose different. And I know for myself, for a little while, I was really in this, but this always works. I'll just do this. This always works. This always works. Until I was like, okay, you know what? This isn't the same. So not good or bad or right or wrong. It's just different. But what's so cool is that once I was willing to be honest with myself about that, and then also be honest with myself about what I really enjoyed. Yeah. Now I could look at things really differently. And that's where, as many of you know, I started a Shopify shop in January of 2023. It's just freaking amazing. And then looking at adding some new things this fall. And part of that is my own interest in terms of, what would I like to be spending my time playing with? I know I require a lot of creativity. I love that. I love one-to-one sessions. And I'm looking at what else as we travel around. We're going to be in Oxford, Massachusetts in late September. That's the first place we know for sure. Then we'll be in Chicago. I'm taking part in a mastermind there, and I'll probably put something on. I know some of you have reached out. Thank you. I will let you know as soon as I have details. From there, we plan to go to Nashville and then Atlanta, and then be in Florida for November and most of December. So that's a lot of travel. There's a lot of, all on the road sort of stuff. So how can what I love to do fit with that? And I can put classes on, and who knows, maybe I will in every one of those areas. Who knows? But I'm also looking at what else. So I really wanted to invite you to one of two things. One, listen to the Love and Light Confessionals if you're a podcast user. Just Love and Light Confessionals, great podcast. All of them have been that I've listened to so far. But also really look at where you might be oversimplifying what's actually required, or where it's maybe been oversimplified and you've took it as, well, then I must just be wrong. I must just be wrong because it doesn't work for me, so I must just be wrong. You're not wrong. Okay, there just might be some misinformation. There might be some missing information. There might be just something else, and it might just not be your way. That's the other thing that we can get so caught up in is, this person, again, using Reels as an example, this person has success with Reels, and so I have to do that. But if you hate video, not going to work so well, my sweet friends. So there's my thoughts for the week. Have a great week, and I look forward to chatting again next week.